Abandoned Loneliness. Hello everyone! I'm here to tell you about a bizarre Pokemon game that I once got my hands on. It's quite an odd story, but please bear with me and listen up. So a while back I was given a copy of Pokemon Leaf Green by a friend. She had tried out the game, but become bored of it very quickly. I could see just how quickly she got bored, and she only had 5 minutes of gameplay. She called her character Leaf, I guess, maybe because of the game's title, Leaf Green? I wanted to play the game, but first I wanted to see if she even bothered to leave Pallet Town to activate the event where Oaks takes you to the lab and gives you a Pokemon. I started up the game to find that the player is lying in her bed in her bedroom. Except the bed is in the middle of the bedroom. Everything in the room is missing except the TV and bed, and the left side of the floor is a dark color, while the other side is lighter. Also, the area's name is Emptiness, not Pallet Town. Perhaps she gave up on the game because of this weird change to the overworld. Oh yes, I almost forgot to mention, no music is playing by this time. Before leaving bed, I hit the start button, which opened up the menu. It turns out she did have a Pokemon, so I checked which starter Pokemon she chose. To my surprise, she actually had a level 10 Eevee, nicknamed Loneliness. I know Eevee is an impossible starter, but I couldn't help notice that the E was missing from the word loneliness. Maybe because she didn't know the spelling of loneliness. I guess this might have been the case since she wasn't very good at spelling. Upon closer inspection, the Eevee appeared to be sad instead of having a happy smile on its face. Its nature is lonely nature, and its attacks are as follows: Tackle, Screech, Grudge, and Nightmare. I left the bed and made my way over to the TV. I pressed the A button to see if it worked, and it did. The text said, "You're not wanted here." Well, isn't that nice? Since I can't do anything in the room, I exit downstairs and similar to the upstairs, the only thing in the room is a TV, except that this time the tiles on the floor spell out the word "Go." Check the TV, and the text says, "Don't leave me." Well, I had no choice but to leave, since there was nothing to do in this boring room. So I exit south to the waiting Pallet Town. I leave the house, and instead of being in Pallet Town, I am in some large, foggy place. The surrounding grass is colored red, and the house that I left is cut in half with only the bottom part showing. There are gates surrounding the path, which prevents me from exiting, and the music that is playing is the music that plays at the abandoned mansion. And there is also a path heading east. Before heading down the eastern path, I noticed that there is a signpost. I walked up to the signpost and hit the A button, revealing the text as V-E-E. Finally, there's another path going south, except I can't reach it because the gate prevents me from walking to it. I walk down from the path what seems to be about 8 seconds, when an NPC strolls in. He appears to be standing on the gate. His body is pure white, with a gaping mouth, and blood trailing from his eyes. A very spooky sight, if I say so myself. I'm able to interact with the NPC, and he says, "Can't you do better?" Is he taunting me? Well, regardless, I continue down the path. The surrounding grass turns to black, but the red path is still there. I walk towards the end of the path where there is a small door. Walking into the door, I am taken off to a different map. I appear in a small school-like house with no blackboard and a small desk with a book on it. I walk up to the desk and checked on the book. He was so alone. His sorrow-filled eyes made me so unhealthy, so hurt. I wanted to help him, so I did. I have no clue what the author behind that book would be, but I shrugged it off. Another one of those white NPCs is standing beside the desk, so I walked up and spoke to him. He was so kind. His smile, his laugh. He said, "Leaving the house, I am taken back to the previous map, except this time I am in the path heading south, which I could not reach before." I walked south down the path to find there are some letters faded on the left side of the gate, with 5 white NPCs on the other side. The letters appeared to spell out the word friend, with a question mark under the 5 NPCs. Friend, it says. Someone is questioning if someone else was a friend. As I continue south, the red grass changes to a pitch black. There's also a large body of water with green grass surrounding it. I walked my overworld sprite around the water and down the path. There's a door at the end of the path, and on either side of the gates there are 2 letters. By the look of things, an N and an O. I puzzled together the word text, and I finally made the conclusion that friend, no. So this individual that it was referring to is not a friend at all. After exiting through the door, I find myself in a very confined space with yet another white NPC standing at the end of the small room. When I spoke to him, he said, "Why wasn't he?" Well, see for yourself. By this point, I was greatly attached to this game and was desperate to get to the end of it. I exit south and I'm taken to the Pokemon Tower. There's a single path which I can follow, except I can't go outside the barrier of gravestones. There are 3 white NPCs scattered around the outside the gravestone barriers, and there is one on the path which I can speak to, who only says, ... Towards the end of the path, I find an NPC who is in another one of those white NPCs. But it is, in fact, the rival Blue. He stood in front of a golden gravestone and faced me. When I speak to him, he says, "No, don't believe in ghosts. Run away, before they get you." I was sort of confused and was still trying to put together the story, but right now I wanted to find out what would happen next. I exited the Pokemon Tower, and suddenly I'm in Lavender Town. The music changes to the Lavender Town theme, and the town has minor changes to it. It's raining. The routes going north, south, and west are blocked by wooden gates. I explore the town to find 3 more of those NPCs. The white ones. Let's call them ghosts, since that's what Blue addressed them as. One of them is outside the gate, so I am unable to reach him. One stood behind the Pokemon Center, and another stood beside the main house in Lavender Town. The one beside the Pokemon Center says, Oh, but we were having so much fun. Do you really want to deny us? And the one behind the house says, Are you still going to believe the kid who betrayed loneliness? That's it. I got it. So Blue abandoned the Eevee named Loneliness. But why? The only way was to continue with the game. I entered the house behind the ghost to find a lot of the stuff was missing. There was a lass and a bug catcher sat at the table. I approach a girl and she says, "This is frightening. I want to get out of this nightmare." I walked over to the bug catcher and he says, "The ghost can't get in here. I wonder why." But wait, there's a 3rd NPC in the house, facing the window. It's the male protagonist, Red. "Leaf, you're okay?" No, you're not. Run. Now! You have to discover the truth." And with that, I left the house just as Red commanded. The next overworld map is the Pokemon Fan Club in Vermilion City. Except the people are missing and there's a fog here too. And the Lavender Town theme continues to play. I walk deeper into the house to find a ghost who's standing beside a glitched patch of blocks. The ghost says, "Right this way." Not like you have a choice. I walk into the bundle of blocks, but nothing happens and I am trapped. I then tried walking back south when I'm teleported off to the Pewter City Gym, with no one there but Brock. There's fog. The fog is still in effect as I walk with Brock and I speak to him. "Truth," he says commandingly, so I'm thrown into a battle with him. At last, lively music. Brock only has 3 Pokemon, each at the level of 2. He sends out his first one, which is a Bulbasaur named Ghosts, and I send out my Eevee, Loneliness. I easily KO the Bulbasaur with Tackle as he switches to a Charmander named Tricked. The process repeats and he switches into his final Pokemon, which is a Squirtle named Him. While knocking at the last Pokemon, I noticed together they say Ghost tricked him. With that, I won the battle, and Brock scrolls in saying, "Continue?" holding me the boulder badge. Brock's text ends with a bundle of exclamation marks, and we are taken back to the overworld. K. Leaf received TM39 from Brock. Ghost tricked him. He is waiting. Be gone. Be gone, Brock says. I exit the gym and I'm taken to the gate which leads up to Victory Road. There are no edits here at all, and I'm able to pass through the gate due to having the boulder badge. I exit out of the house in Fuchsia City, which is placed on the path which leads you to the cycling road. Instantly I notice the text in the top corner which says, "You will perish." The city seemed to be glitched and wrecked. It is raining, and there is no audio. Heading eastward down the path, I see two ghosts. The one closest to the house I exited says, "Take in the air while you still can." And the one next to him says, "Your time is almost up." The path continues eastward, and I can't go north due to some glitched blocks blocking the way. I keep walking eastwards towards the city gate, only to find that it's blocked by 3 illegible signs and a ghost. The ghost says, "When you find out the truth, you shall join loneliness forever, and you shall experience our being." I explore around the remote city to find that Blue is standing at the southern east part of the city. When I approach him, he says, "Leaf, I abandoned Eevee after my Eradicate died. The ghost tricked me into it." So I finally found out Blue to be the fool he is. I continue with the story, going through the only door in the town which will work, which is the house I entered the city from. Entering the house, I am taken off to the Pokemon Tower. I am trapped in a single 1-block space, surrounded by gravestones, with 3 ghosts standing around me. From this point onward, there is truly nothing to do, so I switch off the game. A few months passed since my encounter with the very odd game. I haven't picked it up since switching it off, and I soon forgot about it. I left it under my bed in a small box of games, not playing it until one Friday afternoon, when my mother was cleaning the bedroom. Got back from college and went up to my room to see her moving the box from under my bed and placing it on the bed. "Sorry, dear. I won't be too long," she said as she continued to clean my room. I took the box, gave my mother a hug, and went back downstairs, grabbing my DS Lite on the way. I threw myself onto the sofa and opened up the small box to find a bundle of different games. Which one to play? I looked around in the box until I saw a small green game card hidden under all the other games. It was that weird Pokemon Leaf Green game that I hadn't played in so long. I remembered being stuck in the Pokemon Tower, but I was eager to play this game just for the old times. Upon going to the title screen, I found that there was a new file named Sorrow, which had the playtime of 10 minutes. From what I remember, the last file was called Leaf, but whatever. Selecting the file, I'm taken into the game. I'm in a school building facing the eastern wall. In the top corner, it displays the map name, which is Neglect. As a ghost stands at the blackboard, I check to see if I still had Eevee named Loneliness. But instead I have a Banette named Unwanted at level 18. The sprite of Banette is missing its arms, and its right eye is a black void, and there's a trail of blood from its left eye. It also appears to be frowning, with a modest nature, met at question mark at level 18. Its moveset is Curse and Grudge, except Grudge is fresh out of PP. Oh yes, and it also has the ability Drizzle, which summons rain when entered in Battle. I speak to the ghost, and Eevee cry is heard as he said, "Where did Loneliness go?" I exit the house and I'm in a fairly large area, with a gate surrounding the area and 3 ghosts standing outside gates to the north, all staring at the house that I just exited. The grass is red, like earlier in the game, and I find 3 signposts in another house, along with one of those people you see at Pokemon Tower wandering around. I interact with the signpost, which is to the left of the house I left, and it says, "He brought Leaf here." I go to the signpost, which is directly right from the house, the one that says, "Trainer Tips." It was my only choice. I had to. I just had to. And the final post, south of what that one says, trainer tips. She left me as well? Before approaching the final signpost, I decided to speak with the person. She said, loneliness. And I'm given a yes-no answer. I didn't quite follow what she meant, so I chose no. And she says, don't lie. I try again, this time selecting yes, and she says, why did you? Okay, so from what I gather of what's going on here, Leaf also neglected this Eevee just like Blue did. I explored the second house to find that I am in a Pokemon Center, with a fog in effect. Behind the counter is a Mew and a Ghost, both of them saying, ... The stairs leading to the top floor is the male trainer Red. I walk my character over to him, and he says the same, and he says, I don't know you. What? We met in Lavender Town. Maybe he said that because Leaf abandoned Eevee as well. I go up the stairs and am teleported to Route 22 right outside the gate. It's raining. The grass is red like earlier. The map title is Look, and the music changes to the abandoned mansion theme. I try entering the League building, except the doors won't budge. So I chose to follow the path that would lead me to Viridian City. While following the path, I pass a signpost. Upon interacting with the signpost, I hear an Eevee cry. As the text displays the words, Raticate died. He doesn't notice me still. The wall which you can normally hop over is changed to a gate, and on the other side of the gate spells the word, Look. I continue around the path until I get to an area where I cannot pass due to gates blocking the way. On the other side of the gate there appears to be another word formation. This time it just says, E. Just a little north from here there is a small door in the cliffside, which I am able to enter. I am taken to a room where in the center there are tiles, spelling out the letter E. So that's 2 E's I've seen. To the north of the room I see Professor Oak. I try walking past him, but he stops me and says, Loneliness isn't the only one. E. 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 And sends me back. I walk back to where I entered and exit through where I warp off to a cave named Loneliness. By the looks of things, I am at the northwest part of Mount Moon. The music ends to silence, and the cave is filled with a fog. I walk south where I find a signpost, and just like the previous signpost, I hear an Eevee cry as I interact with it. I feel so unwanted, says the signpost. I continue walking south where I met with Blue, and he says, he was nothing but a curse. The screen fades to black and fades back in. Blue is nowhere to be seen. I chose to explore the cave a bit, walking eastward from where I spoke to Blue. Suddenly the room changes as if I exited through a ladder. From what I gather, I'm in a lower part of the cave with a large pathway, shaped like a C. As I walk around the path, I found a 30 written on the ground. I head towards the end of the path, waiting a ladder where I exit out of the cave, onto a route with a single path heading east, similar to the first path in the game, except I'm surrounded by endless cave walls instead of gates. The music begins to play as I notice it's the Lavender Town theme song. There's a signpost here and I can interact with it. I hear an Eevee cry as the text appears on the screen saying, I'm not a curse. Towards the end of the path I found a single path of grass, and as soon as I step into the grass I am engaged in battle. A level 10 Eevee scrolls in, but instead of saying Wild Eevee appeared, it says Loneliness looks sad. I send out my level 18 Banette, and Drizzle is activated. Since the Banette is fresh out of Grudge PP, I have no choice but to use Curse. Unwanted use Curse. Unwanted wants Wild Loneliness to suffer. Wild Loneliness used Grudge. Wild Loneliness is bearing its emotions. Rain continues to fall. Wild Loneliness is feeling agonizing pain. Since I can't use any other attack, the battle just continues with that until Loneliness finally starts to faint from the curse. except it says, Wild Loneliness died. My Banette gained some XP, and I sent back to the overworld. This time it's raining. The map's name is Suffer. There's no music playing. The grass patch is missing. There's a door on the wall above me. And the overworld sprite of my character has changed. Her body is completely white. Her eyes are red, and she has markings on her hands. Check my trainer card to see her full sprite match her overworld sprite. I check my Pokemon to see that I still have Banette, but it's full at HP, and Curse is back up at 1010 PP, but Grudge is still at 05 PP. I go through the door and appear outside Lavender Town's Pokemon Tower. The grass changed to red. It's still raining. The berries have changed from wooden ones to white ones, and they're also closer, leaving me with a little less space to explore. The Pokemon Tower's door is missing. The music kicks in as a Pokemon Tower theme, and there are 4 signposts beside the Pokemon Tower in order. I read each of the one from the top to bottom, and their text is as follows. Why didn't you listen to me? Now you're cursed. You could have saved us both! Do you regret? I remembered that the signpost before the battle with loneliness said, I'm not a curse. And before that, the signpost constantly labeled loneliness as a bad curse. This led me to believe that it was Loneliness who was speaking to me through the signpost. Outside of the barriers are 3 ghosts, and when I explored the houses, this is where there was no one in them. However, in the last house I checked, the one in the most southwest corner, I found that the tiles are white with E written on the floor in green. There's also a Cubone who stood on the letter E. When I approach a Cubone and interact with it, it says, 4th letter E. I exit the house and I appear back in the bedroom from the start of the game, except the bed is missing and there's a letter V on the floor. I interact with the TV, and it says the following. E, E, V, E, E. Put the E where it belongs. 4 E's and a letter V. It's spelled Eevee. I head downstairs, and the only thing in the other room is another TV. I interact with it, and it says, You no longer exist. You have no purpose. But maybe you can ask for forgiveness. I leave the house, and I'm in Pallet Town. There's another change of the overworld sprite, as I have nothing but 2 red eyes and a red mouth. Stood in front of me, looking up at me, a red and blue. I first decided to check if my trainer card had changed. 4 minutes of gameplay, no sprite. And the name had changed from Sorrow to Look. I then check my party to see that I have a faceless level 10 Eevee named Put to Rest. Its nature is modest, and its only move is Guillotine. I speak to Red, and he says, Where is Leaf? Where is Loneliness? Right away I noticed that the word loneliness had its letter E, that its missing letter E placed back in it. I then speak to Blue and he says, Leaf got the brunt of the curse. It's all my fault. Just below them is a signpost, and when I acted with it, I heard an Eevee cry, followed by the text, Loneliness was put to rest. R.I.P. As soon as the R.I.P. appears on the screen, the credit music plays, and I am locked into the text and I'm unable to leave it. The music would play till the end, and once it did, I am sent right back to the start of the game, where I have the level 10 Eevee named Loneliness.